Does your church's live stream look like a daytime television news broadcast, or even worse, one of those boring soap operas that your mom loves to watch? Well, today I'm going to give you some pointers and some tips on how to make your live stream look more cinematic. Live streams like Bethel's and Upper Room's, Circuit Riders, and Gateway have kind of paved the way of this new way of live streaming that makes your live stream look larger than life, that offers way more emotion to what's happening in the room at your church and transferring that emotion into video form. So today, let's jump into these tips on how to make your live stream look more cinematic. All right, the first tip I want to give you, and probably the most important to improve your live stream to make it look more cinematic, is changing your frames per second to 24 frames per second. There's absolutely no reason that you'd have to adhere to a 30 FPS or a 60 FPS standard. I think those are left over from the broadcast world, and I'm not sure why they got transferred into live stream. So 30 frames a second looks more like a news broadcast, 60 frames a second looks more like a soap opera, or worse, one of those smooth motion TVs in Costco or Best Buy. I know they're trying to do it so it looks more lifelike. Our eyes perceive closer to 60 frames per second, I guess. It's hard to judge. I don't know. Maybe it's because we as a society have been trained to look at 24 frames per second because that's basically the standard that every single movie is in. What's happening when you go down to 24 frames per second is that you're getting less information every single second, which you would think is a bad thing. You want the most information that you can get in 1 second when it comes to video. But really what makes it look filmic is that there's less information being shown to you, but just enough to make it look like normal. I definitely suggest changing your frame rate from 60 or 30, whatever you're operating in, down to 24 frames per second. That's going to help the most. It's going to make it look most like a movie. So tip number 2 is move your camera. There's a variety of different ways, but my favorite way is the handheld Cinema Verte camera shot. It's that tastefully shaky cam like you see in Bethel or Upper Room when they do whips around the drums or they're focusing on a worship leader. That is what's creating emotion, that's connecting your viewers to what's happening in the room or to the song that's being sung or what the Lord is doing. So I definitely think that you need to be moving your camera around. Let's say you don't have a handheld camera system like a roaming camera. You can actually do this through the use of tripods too. So if you have an operator on your tripods, you can have them create some motion on their tripod heads. If you have a worship leader that likes to move around a lot on the stage and you're tracking their head with them like you would your pastor when they give their sermon, that can obviously create some emotion because there's motion being added there. But let's say you don't have any operators at all and you're just switching cameras that are static and you still want to create some motion. A really easy way is just to buy a $200 or $300 automatic camera slider from Amazon. You set the slider up, you set point A and point B, you tell it to go back and forth at whatever speed, and then boom, you have some motion. So you're getting a automatic camera slider shot. And there's even some systems where you can operate them by your phone via Bluetooth, and you can set the head to move, so the head will actually track as it's going back and forth. So there's definitely some really interesting ways that you can get some motion shots without the use of an operator. If you just go on Amazon and you see what's available, there are more expensive systems out there. It depends on what you'd want to spend, but definitely spend some time looking at some of those automated systems that can get your camera moving, whether you have an operator to operate a handheld camera, giving that shaky handheld shot, or whether that's a motorized slider. All right, tip number 3 is lens choice. So at our church, I like to have every single Blackmagic camera that we use for a live stream to have a Canon EF mount lens that is 2.8 or lower on the f-stop. So what I'll do is I'll throw that f-stop as low as it'll go, 2.8, 1.8, 1.4, whatever that is. One, to let the most amount of light in because our sanctuary is kind of dim and it helps with the lighting changes between all of our cues. But also it allows me to have really shallow depth of field and get all that bokeh that looks cinematic. But in addition to the low f-stop, I like to choose focal lengths that are a little more zoomed in. So we use like 24 to 70s a lot, and then we'll use the 70 to 200s a lot. I like to shoot at like 70 for like a normal type shot, and then at 200 for our tripod shot in the back. I just find like when you mix zoomed in with wides, it creates a really dynamic kind of feeling. If you just are shooting all wides or all zooms, you're not getting a lot of variety. So this is really helpful for when you're cutting between cameras and you have like a wide shot to like establish like maybe your service is starting, and then maybe the first song starts with a guitar line that you want to highlight. So you could actually have your camera operator zoom in on the guitar and have that portion be shot really zoomed in and kind of abstract to give that feeling that the guitar line is introducing the song with. So this is something I like to do with a variety of different lenses. Personally, I love shooting like more zoomed in, more abstract, where the shallow depth of field is really highlighted. I don't really love to shoot super wide unless I'm doing like a gang vocal or multiple people are singing, or I'm trying to get the bass and the guitar, or like the drums, like the whole kit. That's usually where I like to shoot wide, or like on establishing shots when I'm trying to hide cuts. So lens choice is definitely going to help you keep your shots really dynamic, and also just make it more cinematic because you're zooming in, you're coming out, you're going wide, you're getting depth of field. All of that stuff adds up to be a more cinematic output. So tip number 4 is cut, don't fade. And what I mean by this is if you're cutting between camera shots, just hard cut to them. Don't dissolve or fade or wipe between the camera shots. Only reserve those dissolves and those fades and wipes when you're going to a full screen slide or like a video through your ProPresenter computer or something like that. So at our church, what we do is we cut between cameras. It looks way more professional, way less cheesy. And then when we go to a full screen or a video on ProPresenter, it'll actually fade that in. So definitely don't want to be fading between camera shots. You just want to be cutting between camera shots. So there you go, 4 tips on how to make your broadcast look way more cinematic. If you found this video helpful, or if you have any questions or you got something out of it, please let me know down in the comments. And hey, if you like this kind of content and you want to learn more about church video, photography, live streaming, digital media within the church, how to be creative in church, please give me a subscribe. I plan on creating way more content about this type of stuff in the future. All right, with all that being said, I will see you in the next one. All right, one thing that I forgot to mention in this video is I started an email list, but we're calling it the Super Secret Email Club. And it's because it's a special club that only you can get in if you sign up with the link down in the description. I'm gonna send you an email probably once a month with some like blog type stuff, or like some tips, or like maybe an exclusive thing. Go on the link down below and sign up for the Super Secret Email Club. Okay, bye.